What's up, everybody? It's your boy Keefe. I am back in with another live stream, doing another live stream here, trying to make these things work, try to make them all. Don't know where I went. Where'd I go? There I am. Going live now and going live later to talk about Exodus. But we're going live now to talk about Exodus, and then we're going to do our regular weekly show later on, as always, probably later tonight. I have some travel. I got to travel back home to San Francisco from the East Bay, and going to take me a little bit of time. Going to take a little time to think things over. Give you a little sing-song on a Thursday, Thor's Day. I'm feeling good. How's everybody doing out there? The world is a mess, but I feel like I'm a little bit on the upswing. So Stephanie Montoya is here. Hello to one of my everydayers. So yeah, I'm going live now. I'm not going to be live again till later tonight. So typically now is around the time I aim to go live for my weekly show. Casket Corey, what up? Happy belated birthday again. And crazy stuff going on in the world, like metal, like lineup changes are crazy, especially when somebody is got a history like Zetro of being in that band a very long time. And you know, people, Fine Shangy, what up, dude? Fine Shangy, ding ding dong, bro. Keep your heads ringing. I keep their heads ringing. That's what I do. But yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about Exodus right now before I pack it up and get out of here. And then I will be back on later tonight from the home base, which I have to first get home, unpack, set back up the cameras, get the lighting, charge all the things, finish the script. Oh, I have my nerd glasses on. Fuck. I don't know what is going on. What is going on? I don't know what is happening. Have my glasses on? What the hell's going on? I don't know. I don't really know, actually, to be honest. Exodus, bro. I'm a huge fan. And have been one of my first ever, maybe my first thrash show ever in a big venue was SOD and Exodus co-headlining at the Ritz. I looked very old for my age in high school, and they didn't really look at I didn't have a fake ID, but they carded me, and then they were like, come on in. It definitely was not an all ages show. I definitely should not have been there. I definitely had a beer. I was served a beer. Oh, thanks. Thanks, hon. I appreciate you. Yeah, I'm like, how do we get here? But we're going to talk a little bit about this because I think it's inherently interesting for a veteran band to make a move like this. And we don't know. We haven't gotten any information. So we're left to speculate because we don't have any other devices. Self-awareness. I know. I told that to my shrink this week. Just a little full disclosure. I'll talk more about what's going on with my health later. But yeah, like I was like, yeah, self-awareness is my superpower. I wish it wasn't. Skywards We Fly is back. Hello, Skywards We Fly. Appreciate you being by. Sabrina's here. Vikings are here. Everyone's here. It's cool. So let's talk about Exodus. I have this my little helper deck I put together. Papow. Oh, that's the right one. There it is. How do we get back here? Zetro out and Robb Duke's back in. You know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world we'll cover tonight. But yeah, we will cover stuff later on the big show. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick little thingabob and do this thing. One second, someone is messaging me. All right, cool. Cool, Seattle, cool. So we're going to fly through this show a little bit because I got some stuff to do. Things to do. But yeah, I hope we're coming in. We're going to whip through this a little bit. I'm excited. This is not the weekly big show, Fine Shammy. I'm doing kind of like a mini episode now on this Exodus Dukes thing, and then I'm going to come back on after I get home and unpack and set the studio back up, and then do that show then. I don't have the time to do both, and I have to pack to go. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all good in the hood, yo. But anywho, yeah, but I appreciate you. If you can't come back for both of these, I understand, because yo, it's a whole commitment to be here. So appreciate you. But yeah. All right, so In and Out, man. I had this flash come into my mind, like this is some crazy In and Out burger stuff. If you have not ever had In and Out burger, you're missing out. I know some people think it's overrated. Some people think it's trash. Some people think it's the greatest burgers on earth. They are delicious. The fries are kind of mid, but the burgers are amazing, especially if you get the Flying Dutchman and you get the animal sauce. I'm a fan. I can't eat too much fast food anymore, so the fresher and better the fast food for me, if I have to, the better, because I can't fucks with it otherwise. It's bad for me. High blood pressure, diabetes, I can't fuck around. But anyway, that's just like Zetro out, Duke's in, Zetro out, In and Out. You know what I'm saying? I got jokes, dad jokes. That's all I really have. I got to be honest with you. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. But before we dive in, man, of course I go live and my phone is fucking blowing up. I'm sorry, everybody, on the Tick of the Talk, WH and Rodney especially. California's on fire. We've got some resources in the links in our description and the links in our bio. Not just for musicians. We don't, whatever celebrities, musicians, it's hard for them. But regular people, a lot of regular people got burned out of their homes. Whole cities gone. So, like, if you can donate anything, that's important to me. You can also continue to check out our Album of the Year countdown, our guest posts, our videos. I think my video will finally run later tonight overnight, and my post will be up tomorrow on the website. I just keep delaying it. The list has been done since mid-November, but I just can't get we did the video that got edited up and posted recently, and I just haven't shared it enough. Everybody got dad issues, bro. Everybody got dad issues. Me too. Me too. So yeah, once again, if you're watching this, unfortunately everywhere but TikTok, you are enjoying this via the grace of StreamYard, your one-stop source for streaming awesomeness. And if you sign up with the link in our description, you get $10 off your subscription, and we get $10 off our next bill. So it's some Dutch door action. We like it. Dutch rudders. And then this is our tip menu. I'm going to skip this till later because realistically, I don't need any donations. I would rather you give any donations to California victims of fire and first responders. But let's just put this full screen for a minute while I talk over this. Even Exodus is curious about how the fans feel about this. So this is their second post in 24 hours. The first post was Robb Dukes posting his wearing his casket robbery shirt. I have a similar one. You've seen me in it. Robb has had several musical projects in the time that he's been out of Exodus, and we'll talk about that in a bit. Who is happy and who's not about Robb Dukes' return? They just asked point blank on Twitter, X, whatever it is. 73% almost said yes, they're happy he's back. And 27% said no. And there's 43 comments, and they're pretty divided. I think that people tend to be super shit posty in the comments, but they vote their heart, right? That's my opinion. That's not based on empirical data. This is only 678 votes for a week. This poll is up for a week. If you want to go to Exodus Attack on X, whatever, and vote. So far, yes is outweighing the no 3-1. Which, if you got a 3-1, that's a pretty significant number for 600, almost 700 votes. Motive Kong is here, Walter is here, RJ is here, Marty is here, WXL Flibit is here. I don't know how to say your name. So even Exodus is curious about how this is going. And, how did we get here? Zetro has been back in the band for 10 years. This is not the first lineup change. Exodus has had many lineup changes over the years, different people in and out. We know Rick Hunault was the longtime H-Team co-guitarist, and he retired from the band a while back. He's popped in and out live when they play locally in the hometown, Oakland, San Francisco, whatever. But Rick has got his own awesome band called Die Humane. That's more of like a progressive goth rock thing. And they've had this lineup until this change yesterday for 10 years. Zetro, Tom Hunting, Gary Holt, Jackie Gibson, and Lee Altus, also of Heathen sometimes. Feels 50-50 in the comments. For sure closer to that vote. That vote is more widespread though, right? And, you know, maybe people don't want to bother commenting. You know, X is a fucking shithole right now. It's a fucking minefield of stupid. So just to dial it back for a second, right? 10 years ago, Dukes had been in Exodus for many albums, killer, brutal records. Zetro, we'll talk about the timeline. Zetro had quit and then come back in. They were recording Blood In, Blood Out, which eventually came out in 2014. And in 1 week, Zetro came in, re-recorded Duke's parts, and he was out of the band. And it was pretty acrimonious, to be honest. He was pretty mad at them. He said the album was mid. There's a version on YouTube you can hear Robb singing. He's kind of since patched it up with them after talking about his feelings on podcasts and things for many years and interviews. I interviewed him. I'll talk about that in a minute. And I always liked the guy. He's from upstate New York. Scooter is here. What up, Scooter? We're just doing a quick live stream on Exodus. And then we're going to come back late tonight to do the weekly ritual. So just talking about the split and how this happened and everybody's thoughts and feelings. If you've got a comment Zetro or Robb, who your favorite Exodus vocalist is in the comments. Leave us a comment and tell us how you do. So Zetro comes back in and he's in the band. And I think this is about the same time, I don't know if people know this, that Chuck Billy is the manager or co-manager of Exodus. And so I don't know if this had something to do with it. You know, those guys are all very tight. All the Bay Area metal guys are very tight. Robb was from upstate New York originally, and he was kind of like a friend of theirs and a roadie. And to audition for Exodus, they did not have wide-ranging auditions, but he did, in fact, drive across the country on his Harley to audition for the band, and they liked his vibe, and he covered the old stuff well. And then he's like been a gang dude, by the way, like an MC, official MC cut-wearing gang dude. He's got a big facial scar from a brawl he was in. I wouldn't want to fight that fucking dude. He's fucking tough looking and tough. And I think he's nice, but he's tough acting and tough acting to acting, right? And Zetro's been in the band ever since. I've seen Exodus with Zetro many times, and he's great. He also was the original singer of The Legacy, which became Testament, and Zetro's got a version of Alone in the Dark on the Testament First Strike Still Deadly, where he fucking kills it. And, it's been seen pretty mellow. I think the impression when Zetro came back in, because he is, Paul Bailoff was the original vocalist, and he's long passed away, almost 25 years. I think, with Zetro being back in and having been on a bunch of classic records and even really well-loved records, like Tempo of the Damned, it always made like, oh, he's one of the voices, the classic voices of Exodus, Toxic Waltz, and that Strike of the Beast and things like that. So like, I always felt like, oh, well, it could make sense for him to be back in the band. And but the other problem is that they didn't really get any bigger with Zetro back in. I don't know if there was this thought process like maybe we'll do bigger headlining tours. I don't think Exodus has been appreciably much bigger, and even haven't done that much headlining tours with Zetro back in the band. I don't know if that's bound to change with a new album. They just did a huge headline tour of Europe to support their recent live album that came out last fall. A new album is in progress in writing, not yet recorded. And so Dukes will get to be part of the process of making a whole new album with the band. I don't know how far along they got. Gary Holt also, not only is it his band, he is the straw that stirs the drink. He also writes lyrics. So, I think Robb will have a chance to put his stamp on the band in a way Zetro didn't, except for the one album they put out while Zetro was fully back in the band. That's Persona Non Grata, which I liked a great deal. it was very good. I don't know if it was quite what I would say great comparatively to some of the other thrash legends still putting out new music, but it was very good. Some excellent songs, and they play the hits and some new stuff every time they tour. So we went from here with Zetro back to this picture, which was the last photo of Robb Dukes in Exodus 10 years ago, 11 years ago, before he was booted from the band. I love that he's wearing a shirt that says, "In a galaxy far, far away, Han shot first." I love it. And it's a picture of Han's gun. You can't see it. Gary wearing kind of like a classic bomber jacket. I feel like this is like in Oakland, wherever this is, a parking lot. But I think this is like where the Greyhound parks in Oakland by the BART. Anyway, 19th Street in Oakland. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's very interesting. And of course, like I said, Exodus started really at the same time as Metallica, Slayer, Anthrax, maybe before all those bands they started. They were really the first band to have the true full-time thrash sound. Metallica saw them. Slayer saw them first. Megadeth obviously was aware of Exodus, having Dave Mustaine been in Metallica before he was booted out. Anthrax was aware of Exodus. Exodus toured before anybody else, but they didn't put a record out till 1985, and you've already had the big four all put out albums by then or around the same time. So I always found that very interesting. And so, yeah, Bailoff, man, was, he's such a fucking legend that he was really hard to replace, but Zetro came over from what would become Testament to be in Exodus, and he was huge, larger than life guy. Maybe not the best singer comparatively to other people who are fantastic singers, but like his personality and lyricism was everything. He was literally the personality, the fire of punk and the brutality of metal, and a complete irreverence, a fucking absolute madman. As everybody knows, go see that. I highly recommend all the thrash documentaries, but especially Get Thrashed is my favorite. Here's Bailoff, so huge that Super 7 gave him a reaction figure. Ridiculous. I have this. This is amazing. Actually, the version I bought was the pre-version that comes with a little zine. That's really cool. So Paul is kicked out of the band. Zetro comes in. First record with Zetro was just pretty decent. Pleasures of the Flesh, solid. Then they do Fabulous Disaster in 1989, which is a fucking classic. Toxic Waltz, their cover of Lowrider, Last Act of Defiance, Corruption, Open Season. These are songs that are eternal. Impact is Imminent. I always liked, maybe it's not as popular a record. Objection Overruled is a favorite. Shout out to my best friend Curtis Dunlap. That's one of his favorites too. We always talk about that. Thrash Under Pressure, Changing of the Guard, Only Death Decides. These are badass songs. And then, the band goes through some other changes. Zetro is in for a long time. The band goes on kind of a hiatus. And then he's back in, and they do Tempo of the Damned. Here's a good recent picture of Zetro shot by our own Wayne Edwards out of Chicago. And what happens is Zetro records all of Tempo of the Damned, which to me is a modern classic, a more recent classic Exodus record. And then he just splits the week of the tour. And they they had a tour book with Megadeth, which basically was just Dave Mustaine at that point and some other guys. And it was a weird show. It was like Dave, only Megadeth member I recognize. And then I think it was like Dave Mustaine, Jim Shepard from Nevermore, just a weird ass tour. It was like a very unfamiliar feeling tour, guys. Maybe that's when the Drover brothers first came in. I'm not sure. And then Exodus had Steve Escobar, best known for Skin Lab. Had shaved off all his dreads and had like a spiky punk rock mohawk and wore a battle vest and was great. Steve is a fantastic and very underrated vocalist, can do brutal death metal style vocals and crossover thrash. He's also been in the band Defiance, a personal favorite of mine, long time. Had the demo tape in high school. And then, Zetro splits, and Robb Dukes ends up getting the job, and they make 3 crushing albums with Dukes, and they start recording Blood In, Blood Out, and then they kick out Dukes for Zetro. And then, basically just under 10 years later, Dukes is back in. This is a 2016 photo with Dukes that we have he had his band. He had several projects. He has a rap metal band with DMC from Run DMC, which is fucking dope. He's got this his solo project, Generation Kill, with some upstate New York hardcore guys. That's a little more crossover thrash and punk. I interviewed him. He was really cool. We talked about Star Wars. We talked about punk rock. We both love the New York Rangers. Boo on us. And I'm pleasantly surprised he's back in. He's joined Exodus on stage at times for gigs to sing songs. He's got many funny stories. He was on Zetro's podcast. They got to be friendly and shared a lot of experiences about being in the band. And now he's back in. Here's some more later day pictures of Dukes from the last 10 years. He's wearing a Heathen like Dickies shirt right there. That's real fucking cool. Crazy tattoo work there on his arms. I think he's got like a bike shop and a car shop, a mechanic type of stuff. He was living in Arizona. Don't know if he's going to relocate to the Bay. But I always say, like, in and of itself, Exodus is Gary Holt. And now here's an interesting curve I'm going to throw in at you guys, which is we don't know what happened. And I think it's possible yet another band has been kind of befouled by the solo career and choices of Kerry King. Why am I talking about Kerry King? Kerry King just kicked off his headline tour in North America, his first official long tour. Gary Holt is the lead guitarist. Mark Asageda is the vocalist from Death Angel. Death Angel has had some definite public spats about Mark's unavailability because he's busy with Kerry. Dates planned, dates announced, festivals announced, stuff not announced. That's probably in the works already. Another album is already being planned for Kerry. And it's the same thing. Exodus is overdue for a new record, and Gary is going to be on the road. Granted, he's already been writing material, but he's on the road with Kerry half this year. So maybe Kerry's career has snatched away some glory from Death Angel and Exodus. Surely time, the one thing you can't make more of, and entirely possible. Entirely possible that maybe Kerry's solo career is overshadowing these other two legendary Bay Area thrash bands that we need. I'm sure whenever Death Angel gets around to recording and writing and finish writing and recording their new album, it's going to be baller. And I know Exodus is going to put out a great record when the time comes. But, I could see members of those bands like Steve being mad. Steve is not wanting for money. He's got a union job. He's like a senior union foreman. I've interviewed Steve several times, and he doesn't really need to be in the music business. He loves music, right? He's always going to make music. Maybe he'll start a new band, or he'll do his AC/DC cover band because he kind of sounds like snotty, evil Bon Scott. More evil Bon Scott, actually. So, I don't think Zetro is necessarily hurting for money, but maybe it's like, I'm tired and I want to put this record out. The Death Angel guys quickly posted and then retracted comments about Mark being in Kerry King's band and choosing to do Kerry King dates instead of other stuff. So I think this is something. Hey, Josh Toomey's passing by. What up, sir? Great to see you. Always much respect, my friend. Love to have you on sometime as a guest on my podcast. And if you ever need a guest on yours, I'm always available. I wanted to kind of just come on here, talk about this interesting development in metal this year to start the year. It's absolutely interesting. Hey, Dillinger Compound, I prefer Bailoff and Dukes over Zetro. Some people do. I think Zetro can sing a little bit better. Dukes is certainly more brutal. And of course, I love the Paul material because, again, his personality is the personality of the band. Like, if you go listen to a Lesson in Violence or another Lesson in Violence, the live album, the banter, the lyricism, the delivery is pure Paul. And a lot of people, listen, man, Municipal Waste doesn't exist without Exodus riffs and Paul vocals. Like, so many crossover thrash bands. Enforced is a band from Richmond, another Richmond band. Havoc has a lot of Exodus influence. Oh man, I love Shovelheaded Kill Machine. Love it. And then I would say, like, we didn't really get to hear Zetro do the Temple of the Damned material until later. And Dukes killed it, man. I love fucking Blacklist, man. That is like one of my all-time absolute top 5 favorite Exodus songs is Blacklist. I'm sure that's unusual for a lot of people. There was a period of time they were closing with it, man. And I love Zetro, and I hope he does other stuff in metal. And I don't know that he, like at this point, again, we are seeing the twilight of a lot of these bands. Exodus, I'm sure, can put out another couple of records in the next 10 years and keep touring. They did very well in Europe just now. But, it's interesting to me. Like, why is Zetro out? We don't know. We will find out because Zetro cannot help talking on his podcast or to the media about himself and things. So he's absolutely going to tell us what's on his mind. I know Dukes had to make peace with them because he was absolutely dogging the band when he was kicked out, and he was unceremoniously fired. So at least they made enough peace with him to bring him back. What if they couldn't get him back and he said no and they had to get a new vocalist? I don't know what that would do to the band. I really don't think there's anybody, it's like I can't think of anyone. Maybe Steve from Skin Lab would be a choice, although he's busy with Skin Lab right now. Just did a tour with them. So I don't know. It's very interesting to me. Again, if you've got a favorite Exodus vocalist, drop a comment. Thank you, Dillinger, for dropping yours. And let us know. Let us know how do you feel about this change? I think a lot of people are pumped. I think the impression is super underrated records. I love those. I think Exhibit B is actually a little bit better than A overall, top to bottom, but A has the better banger songs, right? Obviously, Shroud of Urine and War is My Shepherd. War is my shepherd. That fucking thing gets you pumped, bro. That's great gym music. Brutal. I think the idea is that Dukes will bring back more brutality in the band, possibly, or allow for more brutality. So I think it's cool. I think it's very cool. And, Exodus still plays an hour, and they still play all the big hits, Piranha, Strike of the Beast, Toxic Waltz. You're going to get your Wall of Death. You're going to get everything. So, we're not losing much, but I am a little sad. I do love Zetro also, but I have literally campaigned on behalf of Dukes for a long time. Full Beat Rockers passed by. What up, sir? Duval, Julio Campo 2020. What up? What up, everybody? Good to see you. So that's the show. I'm going to go and start wrapping things up here in the East Bay, and you will see me, if you can come back, you will see me later tonight. Ren is here. What up, sir? Love you. Ruben Villarreal is also here. I'm just getting off, but thank you for being here. Drop a comment with your favorite Exodus vocalist and how you feel about this vocalist lineup change. And I'll be back later tonight with the Weekly Ritual, our weekly rock and metal news show. Thanks for being here. I'm Keefe from GhostCultMag.com. We're out. Thanks again. Keep it metal.